Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and I'm Mama Loves UGB here on FlossTube, but also over on Instagram as well. Welcome to the Monday morning briefing, Easter Monday, Bank Holiday Monday. I hope you all had a lovely Easter if you celebrate, or National Jack Up the Kids on Sugar Day if you don't. I think I'm going to be calling this video a day late and a dollar short because after what happened yesterday evening, it's both, or I'm going to be both. Yeah, thanks to everybody who was in touch last night with my Instagram message and also my message on YouTube. Yeah, basically, the van, we have a VW Caravelle, which I think was built on a Friday. And Chris actually is in the Coast Guard, so he had a shout yesterday to a lady who'd slipped and fallen on one of the local beaches with a suspected broken hip. And so he went off on the shout. Now obviously, although Coast Guard are emergency services, they're not allowed to drive like crazy blues and twos or anything like that. So he was just driving normally. He pulled up at the traffic lights with another team member on the right hand side of him, another team member behind him. Pulled up at the traffic lights, went to put it into gear, crunch, nothing, bang, pop. And so that was it. It wouldn't go into gear, it wouldn't do anything. So very, very luckily the junction that he stopped at is on a bit of an incline, so he was able to roll it back, and then there was a big pavement there, so he was able to get off the road really, really quickly. And the rest of the team carried on and rescued the lady off the beach and got her to the waiting ambulance. So we thought it was the gearbox. It might not be the gearbox, it might be the drive shaft. That doesn't really mean very much to me either, but yeah, so he phoned me at home. I was at home with Ness. To come down because the van's in my name and so is the breakdown cover. So I went down and we ended up swapping, so I waited for the rescue truck and he took Ness home, made sure she had some dinner and all that, because we knew it was going to be a late one by the time we'd gone and dropped the car off and got it to where it needed to be. So yeah, I was sat in the car for probably an hour and a half. I started watching Brenda and the Serial Starter, and then I realised within the first 2 minutes it was a really bad idea to watch Brenda and the Serial Starter because I was in such a temper that the first two things that they'd shown, I'd paused the video and went to go and order. So I stopped myself because I was like, this is going to be expensive enough as it is. So I stopped myself and paused them and watched the rest of them today. Brilliant. And so yeah, the tow truck arrived. It had to go on the back of a big flatbed. We had it towed to a garage further up the coast, which is the one it's been to before, so much so that I think we're going to be invited to the staff party. And when we got there, so bearing in mind this is about 10 o'clock at night, all the gates were shut and it's on a pretty main road, and so I was like, oh, this can't get any worse today, surely. We've dragged this flipping van to a garage and we can't even get it in the compound. And so yeah, I was like, oh, no. And then Chris went to talk to the guy driving the delivery truck, and then there was this other delivery truck, the rescue truck, and then there was this other man there, and he had this big jacket on. He said, I'll just go and open the gates for you. I was like, oh, okay, the recovery company must have phoned ahead to get somebody to come and open the gates. That was lovely. And then I looked at the man a bit more closely. I was like, he's got a big jacket on, but he's got pyjama bottoms on and slippers. And it turns out that the manager of the garage actually lives next door to the garage, and he happened to be looking out of his window when he saw the big rescue truck turn up with our van on the back of the flatbed, and he thought, ah, that's something I better go and deal with. So he actually came out in his pyjamas and his slippers and he opened the compound so that we could put the truck in, or put the truck in with the van on top, so that it was safe in the compound rather than just left on the side of the road all over the bank holiday weekend. So that was a bright spark. Yeah, that was a really nice ending to it. So we just have to wait till Tuesday now to see what's the matter with it and how expensive it's going to be. But there we go. I've had a year of it. Well, about 18 months of it with cars. If it's not my car, it's the van. If it's not the van, it's my car. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we're getting to the end of it now. Yeah, I said to Chris yesterday, I said, that van's gonna have to go, we're gonna have to sell it. And he's like, well, somebody's gonna get a good van then, because it's got more new parts on it than anything. So it's one of those ones that I think we'll have to be in it for the long haul, because we've replaced so many things on it that there can't be much left to go wrong. Anyway, that was it for us, and today we went up to our local National Trust property up at Llanacaeron, just outside Evereron. They were taking timed entries, so most of it's outside. There's a lake and a farm, so we went up there and had a lovely day and had ice cream and did an Easter egg hunt, and Ness got a big Easter egg to go with the 10,000 other Easter eggs that she's got to eat her way through over the next few weeks. So, oh right, 5 minutes in. I don't normally have so much of a life update, but what I have got is a huge amount of finishing to show you. I'm so chuffed with myself. I've done so much finishing, and I actually didn't realise that I had so much to do, because I'm normally quite a quick finisher in terms of I finish something and I want to make it fully finished. I want the actual object. I'm going to get rid of this pen because it's annoying me. I want the fully finished object, and so I've got 11 pieces that I had to finish, and I finished 8 of them. I haven't managed to do the drums. I've got 3 drums to finish, and I haven't managed to do those. So maybe next week. So I've got loads of finishes to show you. I've got a couple of new starts and some WIPS to show you, and I have got a fair bit of haul as well. I've had a few things come in from Needleworks Expo. Only a few. There's a few more to come. It's a good job I bought all those before the van went bang. Right, let's have a look. Let's insult the book just to make sure that I am not going to miss anybody out. So, FlossTubers, I have watched a bit of FlossTube this week. I just want to mention a few because I haven't mentioned any for a couple of weeks, so I thought I'd just mention who I've been watching. They are the usual crowd, I have to say. Annie the Joyfield Stitcher, Brenda the Handwork Maniac, Debbie from Creatively Yours. Sorry to hear that you've been poorly, Debbie, and that with your job and everything, but I'm sure you will find another job super quick. Colette the Highway Stitcher, we seem to be trading temperatures, so our temperature today was about 11 degrees C, really bright and sunny, but we're getting a really cold snap, so possibly even snow. Mischievous Stitches, Saltbox Stitcher, Flossabilities I watched today. Now Flossabilities, if you remember from last month, is the lady that does lots and lots of full coverage, Lauren, and she sent me right down a rabbit hole last month. So I managed to today really enjoy her video without disappearing down that same rabbit hole. But that may be because I've already got something in my stash that might just scratch that itch, but I'll show you that later. And somebody new, Memphis Sarah E. She's definitely got 2 videos out, and she may even have a third, or there might be one coming pretty soon. I really enjoyed watching what she was stitching and all her projects, and she's such a natural in front of the camera. So if you haven't found her yet, go along and show her some love. And I also wanted to share an Instagram with you that I really enjoy, and the Instagram is called kraftygypsy, and it is Lynn Mosley, and she is, not sure if she's the only, but she certainly seems to be the main model stitcher for the Northumberland Sampler House. So if you like their charts, if you've ever bought any of their charts, she's a really good Instagram to follow to see what might be coming up. And she also does loads of things that we all like, so definitely pop along and have a look on her Instagram. You will find lots of things that you love. Right, should we get on and have a look at some of the finishes? So as I said, I have got 8 finishes to show you, plus a couple of little extra bits and bobs. And I'm going to put that book somewhere handy because I might need it again in a minute. I've already shared one of them on my Instagram, but I am going to start off with the most important one for me. And the most important one and the most simple one, and I've actually realised I've forgotten I was going to add some buttons on the back, but I'll do that later. This is my first one. And for those of you who don't speak Welsh, it says Joy o Bu. Joy o Bu. Now for the last couple of FlossTubes I've told you about my lovely friend Eleri who passed away from cancer, who was a teacher at my school. And this is basically what she said the whole time, Joy o Bu. And it means basically enjoy life, love life, you know, get the most out that you can. Now when I first started at that school back in 2012, she had her first bout of cancer during that year, and then after she came back from that, she did everything she was always away on holiday, she went on trips, she went everywhere she could, she went places with the school, she literally did everything that she could. And she exemplified that, and she always said joy of you. And so that is my sort of little tribute to her that I think I'm going to take and put on my desk at school. She was a brilliant teacher, but she was always off to do something. She had her life, and she made sure she had her life as well. You know, with teachers, we just have to make sure that we understand that they only buy part of our life. They don't buy it all when they pay us. So joy o' you. And so it's just got a little bit of fabric on the back, a little bit of trim. This is actually a yarn from one of the yarns that I showed a few weeks back, and I'll have to put the name of the place where I bought it. I think I bought 10 or 15 different shaded chenille yarns, sort of 2.5 meters of each, and it's not particularly overfilled. It's a little bit floppy, just because I quite liked it like that. I got to a point where I thought, yeah, that's tactile like I want it. I just charted that myself. So that was my first finish, and my most important one to me. Right, I'll show you the one that you've seen. And this one is from the freebie chart. I've got a few of the charts of things I've finished to hand. So this was from the freebie chart from Whilst Iris Naps Designs that she made for Easter. And you get both of those. And what you can't see from there is you also get an alternative border with hearts on it. So I hold that right back, you can see. Get an alternative border with hearts on it, and you also get charted Welcome Spring and Happy Easter. So this is free from the Whilst Iris Naps website. She's got some suggestions of colour, some suggestions of linen and finishing things if you want them, or you can do as you please. So there we go. And I decided to finish mine as a little watering can with some pins in the top. So this is stitched on 36 count Tobias. Now, believe it or not, I only had a fat 8th of Tobias, and I think I've done about 7 projects on it, 7 smalls on it. I used just random threads from my stash for the bunnies. One of them's a silk, one of them's a Weeks Dye Works, and I think that's a DMC. I mounted my stitching, and then I mounted it again onto a piece of this wool felt. It's the same wool felt that's on the top there, and then hot glued it on. And this does have a little blackboard bit on the back as well, but I haven't done anything with that. And then instead of stitching the carrots flat, I stitched the body of the carrot, and then I just sort of drew it together at the top like you would a strawberry, stuffed a little bit of green felt in the top to create the carrot top, and then tied it onto the handle. And these little pins on the top here were actually a gift from Christina from Whilst Iris Naps. They are just another button company buttons, except for the little rabbit at the front, which is a puntini pin. And then all I've done is I just used the pins to pop some buttons on, a little reel of cotton, and then there's a 2021 charm there. So really, really simple to do. I bought the little watering can from eBay. So yeah, I'm really super pleased with that one. And then also in the picture, I showed that I'd made these little carrots. These are cute. These are some cute little carrots. So again, you just literally get some wool felt, fold it over to make a little triangle. I sewed an outside seam down them because felt's really hard to sew and then turn. And I thought, well, I'll just see what the outside seam looks like, and I think it looks nice. I think it looks quite rustic. So I sewed the outside seam, and then I sewed around the top, gathered it together, and then put my various little toppings on. So those two have just got like strips of felt on the top, and that one's got a little bit of ribbon, and again I tied some twine around it. I only found the twine because Chris had got it out to do something in the garden with, and I was like, oh, I love that. So I had the twine, pinched some twine. There we go. So they are super easy, and they are just filled with some walnut crystals to the bottom there. And they're just nice to go with it, to sit on the side with it. So that's two finishes. The other thing is, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking the hairdressers are open in Wales, Michelle. What is going on with your hair still? What is going on with your hair? The answer to that is very simple. My hairdresser's in England. I've had the same lady do my hair, who's a good friend of mine since I was 14. And she saved me from many a hair disaster that I've asked her for. She created one of her own, I have to say. She did do me one horrific hairdo. But other than that, she has been on point all the way through. She understands what I am like with my hair. So if I go in and ask for this really fancy style that she knows is going to take me more than 2 minutes and a brush to do, she won't do it. She's like, Michelle, you know what you like. You will just dry it and you will just run a brush through it and go. Don't have anything that requires straightening or curling or shaping or anything like that, because you won't do it, which is true. So I have digressed. More finishes? Okay, I'm going to show you I was going to say my favourite one. I've already said which is my favourite, but this is my favourite for another reason. Just because it's lush. Right, this one. These are my Puntini when I think of finishes. Now, I showed you, I'm just trying to see, oh, I've left it up the top there, on my ladder. I showed you a couple of, it's probably weeks and weeks ago now, that I'd had a spool made. I'll show you this spool. I'd had a spool made for these, and it was too small. And so I'd got him to make another one. Now, this is the spool without any stitching on it, and it does look a little bit funny because the top and the bottom are stained, but not this middle bit, and I asked him not to stain this middle bit because I didn't want it stained anywhere near the stitching. And so all I did was I made my finish, will it stay there, just into a long strip, which is got some polka dot on the back, added two bits of string, oh my, 2 bits of ribbon, and then wrapped it around so that I can tie it at the back and finish it off. So there is March with the cute little shamrock, and this one, finished exactly the same way, is January with the cute little buttons. So I'll put January on here. I'll be putting some photos of all of these on my Instagram, so if you want a closer look then you can do. I'll just tie this one on and you can see how it looks. There we go. So there's January, when I think of January. And so I can switch these out really easily for each month. Now, I did say that I was going to let you know where I got these spools from, and it took my local turner about 4 weeks to make the first one, and then it's probably taken him about 4 weeks to make the second one, and he's said himself he's not very good with orders, so I'm not going to give you his details. I have been in touch with another turner who has made me another spool, but he wants to try making it a slightly different way, so I'm going to hang fire on giving you his details as well, because I know everyone will want to sort of know where I got it from and such like, but he's just going to try a slightly different method for me. So there's my two finishes. You will notice February is missing. Yeah, I'll have to get around to February. I have, just to show you a little bit of stitching, I have made a start on April, which I started this morning, and it appears, I think I might have a bit more to do on the A, maybe. Oh no, I don't. No, I don't. So there's When I Think of April, and the button for that, which is tucked inside there, you can see, is that nice little chick there. So there's the April. I have got the dot to do over the eye, so I'm trying to get that finished a little bit quicker than I managed to finish March. Now the other thing that I had done when I came up with this finishing idea is realised that I don't have anywhere to put the beautiful pins that Paula sent me. So in the first chart, January, there is a chart for 2021, 2022, I think it goes all the way up to 2024. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little pin pillow with the year on it, and then I can sit it on my mantle next to my spool and put the right pins in it. So that covers me, and I get to use my lovely pins as well. So those are my third and fourth finishes, March and January. Right, that can go on the floor now because I don't need that one anymore. Let's go for this one next. Now this one I have already shown you in a different form. I've changed the format of it, and it's this one. Now this is Christmas, I think it's called Christmas Eve by the Subrosa Design, but I will link it below if it's not. And this was one that I showed you as a finish in my that thing I did at Christmas, Flossmas, and it was sat on two spools. It was suspended between two spools like that, and I wasn't very pleased with the finishing of it. I love the idea of it. The idea of it I'm definitely going to do again, but I hadn't finished it very well. So I didn't have enough fabric in this to really do a proper job of that, so I just made it into a little pillow. And when I was making it the first time, I don't know how I did it, but off my ironing board I picked up a little grease spot. I was so upset at the time, but as my mum would say, worst things happen at sea. So there we go, and I filled it with completely with walnut shells, which is my preference. So it's stitched on 22 count fabric that I hand dyed myself. So I love the finish on it, but I have to say I didn't really enjoy stitching on the 22 count Ada 1/1. So there we go. Ness is talking to her grandparents at the moment, so you can probably hear her laughing downstairs like a dream. Right, a couple of red finishes now. Let's do this one first. This one is by Notforgotten Farm, Laurie Holt from Notforgotten Farm, and this is called Kind Words, which I've seen lots of people stitch. Probably the reason why I wanted to stitch it myself, because it's so nice. And this is my finish of it. So all I did was, this is 36 count to bias again, sorry, itchy nose, and so all I did was I stitched it onto a piece of gingham, put a ribbon across, and then this is one of the spools from the tutorial that I did a couple of weeks ago, so that's just tucked in there, and this is filled with walnut shells again, and I didn't put any iron-on backing on the back of this one, and I probably should have done. It's a little bit floppy, but it's okay. It's okay. So I used a Silks for You red for that one, so it's nice and variegated. And then if you're using gingham, a tip is if you cut the gingham on the diagonal like that, it's not as noticeable if it's not quite straight. And if you're wanting to finish a pillow, this technique of sewing a piece of fabric onto the bottom is quite a good one, especially if you're a beginner, because if it doesn't go so well and it's not quite straight, the ribbon will hide that. So you can feckle it as you wish from there. So that was one of my red pieces, and this is my other red piece. Excuse me, reaching forward. Now you might remember that I bought a couple of these nice darker butter paddles. So all I've done for this one, and again I need some sky hooks, all I've done for this one is to just mount it onto the paddle with a little bit of rickrack behind it. Now I wanted to put something on the handle, but I hadn't got anything at the time. And everything I tried, it didn't really look right. So I was like, oh, I want to put something with it. So to go with it and to sit on the shelf with it, I've made a couple of strawberries. So, and this is going to be one of my resolutions. Every time I put my sewing machine on now, I am going to make a strawberry, because I want to have a nice little collection of these. So this is the first one that I made, and again it's made of felt, so I've got the outside seam, which I quite like, and stuff with walnut crystals. Not walnut crystals, walnut shells. Right, I'm going to have to put a little thing on the front of this, because do not use walnut crystals. Walnut crystals are for dyeing, walnut shells are for stuffing. They are the grittier stuff that you can buy. I buy mine from Internet Reptile. It's a bedding for reptiles. It's the same stuff that you spend 3 times the price on if you're buying it for pin cushions. So it's walnut shells. So I'm going to have to go back when I edit this, and every time I say walnut crystals, I'm going to have to, on the bottom, put walnut shells. Yeah, walnut crystals will not work well. So there's the first one, and I've just put, this is actually a vintage mother of pearl button that I've just put on the top there. And then this one here, this one is a red velvet one, and it's got a little felt cap to it, but underneath I sewed the ribbon, or on top I sewed a flouncy ribbon. And they're so easy to make. They are so easy to make. There's loads of tutorials on YouTube for them, and they're so easy to make. So you don't have to, if you want to practice making a strawberry, you don't have to practice on something that you've stitched. You can make these little things. In fact, all the things that I've made, if you're a beginner sewer or a beginner finisher, you don't have to practice on the things that you've stitched. You can just make something up. It doesn't have to be what you've stitched on. So there's my strawberries and my little Bristol sampler motifs. Now, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more to go. And this is number 8. Now I remember telling you that I was going to do this in one of my, not first videos, but certainly one of the early ones. And this is, and I do have the pattern here, this is Winter ABCs by Little House Needleworks. Oops, Winter ABCs by Little House Needleworks. And it's stitched on a piece of 28 count faience grey. Chop those out, so I don't need them anymore. And I had bought a pair of Victorian doorknobs, and so I have made, we're going to fit in a hanger to go on my wall, and my hanger is the Victorian doorknobs, and on the back it's just got some of that red gingham. Now I've put this gingham on straight-ish because it would have just taken too big a piece to have gone diagonally across to get the diagonal, so I wasn't too worried because it's the back and it won't show. And it's just attached on the onto the spool by some little little velvet ribbon hangers. So I don't know if I'm going to get it all in, but the really nice thing about these little doorknobs is that I can then hang it up just on the corner of a bookcase or something like that. That will sit just on the corner of a bookcase. So it's stitched, as I said, on the faience grey. This is a Silks For You white, and stitches up lovely. This is a classic Colourworks green. I think it's spinach. I can't remember what the brown is. I just did what I liked. So that is all my finishing. Now, there's one thing that I want to tell you about my finishing. There is not a single piece there that doesn't have some sort of mistake, some sort of error, some sort of bit where it's not quite straight, it's not quite how I'd intended it to go. And that's fine. That is absolutely fine. If I had bought these manufactured, I would be expecting perfection. But these are handmade items and I have made them. And to me, that is much, much more special than going and buying something like this. So the reason that I'm saying that is because lots of people contact me and they say that I've given them confidence in having a go at finishing things, or they wish that they could finish things. I bought my sewing machine in Christmas 2019 and I didn't take it out of the box for 2 months probably, and then in March or April 2019 I actually opened my Etsy shop selling project bags and things like that I'd made. Having never really had a sewing machine before, I taught myself how to use it, I taught myself how to sew, I taught myself the techniques that I needed, and there was lots of practice and there was lots of trial, lots of error before I got my project bags how I wanted them, so that they were good enough to sell, and I had nothing but 5-star reviews. So if you are worried about finishing things, you just need to have a go. You really just need to pluck up the courage and try the first one. Like I say, I could go through and I could tell you the mistake that's in each of these, and I've told you some of them. I should have backed this one. I should have put some interlining on the back of it. It would have given it a bit of a better structure and it probably would have been easier to sew. Does it really matter when I put it on my shelf with my others? No, it doesn't really matter. That one's got a grease spot on it. Okay, it's only tiny, but does it really matter? This one isn't perfectly straight. This is the thing I find hardest, actually, wrapping needlework around board. I find it really hard. But if you take one thing away, just have a go. Have a go, because there is no point having your needlework in a drawer. You might as well have it out on display, even if it is slightly wonky or the first couple aren't brilliant. Have it out on display. Much, much nicer. Okay, so that is all my finishes. I have been working a little bit. I haven't ironed anything, so it's just going to be as it comes out of the bag. So let's see what I've been doing. The first one that I've done a bit of work on is Quaker Samplings number 3 by Ellen Chester, from With My Needle, which I love working on. And I am working on this in sulky thread, and I will show you the sulky colour at the end in the haul, because I've got some other sulkies to show you. As I said, I haven't actually even ironed this one, I'm afraid. It's on a piece of 32 count platinum, and this is where I've got to. So I've put in this big swan motif here, and I've put in part of this one, and I can't remember if I had those two last week. I think I did. I think I had those two last week. So really excited about that one. I've really got into the red monochrome stuff. So that will be shown in the haul as well. So there was that one. I also worked a little bit on this one, which is Kezia Campbell by Needle Made Designs. So I'll try and keep the glare off the actual picture. So this is a Scottish sampler, but it's not a reproduction. It's taken elements from Scottish samplers and kind of blended them together. So this is my Christmas Day start. It was my Christmas present. It came from Fobbles, kitted up. You can buy them as a kit, and it is on a piece of Hazel Anderson's 38 count Simply Taupe. Now, Hazel Anderson, Foxgloveandlace, had a big sale this week. She had so many lovely things. I got a piece, so I'll show you that in haul. But the other thing that you might not have noticed is that on Instagram she replied to one of my comments on somebody else's post actually, and she mentioned the W word, website. So hopefully before not too much longer, Foxgloveandlace will have a website, so then we'll be able to order to our heart's content. So congratulations, Hazel. I hope that you managed to get that sorted. So there we go. So these are the initials of my mum's brothers and sisters, and the one that's missing is her brother David, who died when he was 18. And the reason his initial is missing is because we couldn't find a middle name for him, and he may not have had one, but it would be odd because he's the only one who didn't have a middle name. So I hadn't put it on, just in the chance that we might be able to find it. But Mum's looked on Scotland's People and all, and she can't find it. So it might just be a D. It might end up being a D. What else have I got? What have I just dropped down there? The wrong one. Put it in the wrong bag. That's a new start, so I'll save that one and put that one back in the right bag. I have also done a very, very small amount of work on my unfinished sampler number 1, which was Maud. Now, for those of you, excuse me, is it there? Is it there? For those of you who are unfamiliar, couple or 3 or 4 weeks ago now, I started a little series, there it is, called the Unfinished Sampler series. And I've got a couple of samplers that I bought that were unfinished. So this was the first one, this tiny little marking sampler that was stitched on, I think about 46 count it works out as. And so what I did was I charted it, and I have given that chart away free for anybody who wants to have a go at finishing the design and seeing what they can come up with. I'll put the file link below as well. So if you hadn't seen that but you fancy having a go, then please do. So this is my unfinished sampler number 1, Maud, and this is going to be for my godmother, my Auntie Jeannie, who I've talked a little bit about before. So all I've done recently, whoops, is to put in this tree. It's actually a holly tree. I don't know if you can pick out, there's little red berries in it as well. And 1926 was the year that she was born. And she died in 2015. So I did a little bit of work on that one. I am using, to come up with my motifs, the Brenda Keyes Ultimate Sampler Motifs book, which I can't do a flick through, but I can do a flick through. It's just literally filled with so many different sampler motifs. Now obviously you don't have to have this book, you can find lots of sampler motifs on the internet, you can use them from other charts that you might have. But the reason I quite like this book is because at the back there is a piece of graph paper, and that piece of graph paper is in the same scale as all of the designs. So what I did to try and plan mine out was I photocopied the pages with the designs on that I liked, worked out the size that I had spare, and then I just basically placed the motifs where I thought I wanted them, just to make sure that they would roughly fit. I didn't want it necessarily to be so precise, because some of these girls' samplers are really not very precise at all, and I love them for the fact that they have so many mistakes in them. So I wasn't going to be worried if mine had a bit of a mistake. So some people have already finished theirs, so if you want to follow the hashtag hashtag unfinished sampler series, hashtag #1Maud, then you can see the ones that have already been finished. And I do have another one, and there is a lady who has said that she would lend me one that she has as well, so there could be 3 at the moment. And then my last thing that I worked on was a new start, and it was actually one of my Expo purchases that came in, and it was this one called Lighting the Way by Silver Creek Samplers, and I absolutely love this one, absolutely love it. And again, I am stitching it on. There's my start on the colours so far. I'm not using the called for, I'm just using kind of what I've got in the same colourway. And this is a piece of 36 count Picture This Plus Mirage that I got with my Patchwork Rabbit thread of fabric of the month. So it's actually showing up a bit darker than it is in real life. Now I am stitching this in a bit of a weird place because I want to stitch something else on the other side, and it will be a little bit close, but I'm going to be framing it up myself anyway. So I've got a start there. I've switched the writing. Let me just show you. I can show you a little bit closer. It's showing up much darker than it actually is. There, that's about the right colour tone. So the writing, I've used a darker blue because the suggested blue didn't really show up very well on this fabric that I've chosen, and I've made a start on the roof. So there is about the colour actually. It's not that dark grey that it was trying to fib you off with earlier. So that's all my finishes and my WIPS, works in progress, freebies, and then I'll do haul. So I've got 2 freebies actually. The first one might have been better shown yesterday, but never mind. It's by Crochet A Go Go, and it's an Easter freebie. I don't know if it's got a specific name, but I found this on their Facebook page. I did have a look on their blog spot and I couldn't find this one, so you may have to go to Facebook for this one. But isn't that lovely with the chickens and the beautiful bright flowers, and that would make a really lovely sort of egg-shaped finish. Be really nice. And then one that actually only popped up yesterday, and I think it might have even popped up yesterday evening, so it wouldn't have been included had I filmed last night probably, and it's by Twin Peak Primitives, and it's called Welcome, and I really like that as well. And so I will put the links to both of those below, so you can go and grab those freebies for yourself. There's quite a lot of nice freebies about at the moment. I think quite a few people did extra ones for expos, so there's some nice freebies about at the moment. Right, let's do haul. So I've got the rest of my Expo, sorry I can't think of words today, the rest of my Expo stuff that's come in, and a few other little bits. This one, I'm just going to have a quick look and see. I wrote down the name of the person that I saw it on. My first one I saw as a finish on Instagram account Crossing the Hoop, and I loved it, so I went and bought it straight away. It's called Easter Hen by the Bluebird Needleworks, and it's on Etsy. It's a PDF download from Etsy, and it's this lovely chicken sat in a cup, on its nest in a cup, and I just loved it. The finish that Crossing the Hoop has done is so lovely. It's so much better than the picture, and you get a black and white chart, a colour chart, and obviously all of the suggested threads, which are DMC threads. Now this account actually on Etsy, the Bluebird Needleworks, has got some beautiful things on there, and I actually realised I've got one of their other designs as well. I've got the acorn set that's on there, but I think I went through when I was looking this time and I must have favourited about 10 things. So if you're looking for a new designer, definitely go and have a look out at the Bluebird Needleworks. So I got that one. My other Expo stuff, I've got 3 other things in. The first one is another Silver Creek Samplers one. Random parrot, which is called Weeping Love, which I loved as well, which is great. I think this will end up on a spool as well, because I've got another spool that this will probably fit on. So love that. And then this one, how could I not? How could I not? Amelia Prescott and How Her Parents Did Educate Her. So this goes along with my multiplication sampler chart, which I'm starting to put them all in a folder. So maybe I'll show you them all the ones I've collected so far. But yeah, I love that one as well, Kathy Barrick. And then this one is a Quaker Dwelling, also by Kathy Barrick. Now I was really surprised when this came, because the colours that look like on the front of the cover here is nothing like what's on the back. So the Cool Fall colours on the back, it's charted in MPS but with a DMC colour, and I'll just go through the names of the colours and you're going to go, where's that? Where's that? Where's that? So you've got sea green, light, medium and dark. All of this around the edge is very, very dark green. You've got yellow ochre, light, medium and dark. Okay, that's the roof. Mint green, light, palomino gold, light, medium and dark. Cinnamon, pale peach and doeskin brown. Not a black in sight. Not a black in sight. So yeah, this is going to look pretty different stitched up compared to the cover photo. So I'm going to get the DMCs together for those, and then I might swap a few out, because I do quite like the colour photo on the front, but we'll see what it looks like. So there were those. This was my score from Hazel Anderson, foxgloveandlace. Now I was quite surprised to get this actually. This is a piece of 40 count aged paper, which is, let's get it that way around because you can probably see it a bit better, which is the fabric that one of the new Hands Across the Sea Little Gems was done in. So I've got the possibility of that, but I'm thinking I actually might do Quaker Dwelling on it. Now the reason I was really lucky to get it is because Hazel posts them on Instagram and then it's the first person to comment. Now our internet is so slow that every time she was posting one, by the time I got round to actually even seeing the picture, there were like 20 comments on it. So I think I just hit that one just right, which was perfect, because that was the one that I'd seen when she does the little preview shot. That was the one that I'd seen that I really wanted, so I was super happy with that. Another one. Now this one came from Patchwork Rabbit. 7 red alphabets, and Carla actually sent this one to me. It was to come with my auto ship, but the auto ship was running a bit late. But I think the power of mob rule of going to the customs and retrieving all our parcels has worked, because I think she's certainly got some of her parcels from customs, if not all of them. So 7 red alphabets there by Needlework Press. Needlework Press makes some of my favourite charts. I'm going to put the link for Patchwork Rabbit down in the description box below. And I'm going to put a slightly different link to the one that's normally there, because Carla has given me a link which will allow her to see who comes to shop with Patchwork Rabbit via my channel. So if you are going to shop through Patchwork Rabbit, if you wouldn't mind using my link below, it'll just allow Carla to see who's coming from me. And 7 red alphabets there. I love that. And I'm going to do it in that. This is DMC 498. And the reason I'm going to do it in DMC, I did think about doing it in sulky, but it's so wide that unless you do it on, well, 40 count, it would just fit on a fat quarter. It'll be a little bit tight, but it would just fit on a fat quarter. 36 count, you'll need more than a fat quarter in length, and obviously 32 count you will as well. So the reason I'm going to do it on 40 count is because I'm going to actually use my 40 count birch that I bought, which came from Peakside Needleworks, because this is actually a long half, and although it's only just over a fat quarter, it'll still mean I've got pretty much a fat quarter left of this for something else. So I'm going to do it on that. I really want to start it, but I'm trying not to. I'm really going to try not to. I was on one of the Facebook groups the other day, and somebody was saying, well, what are we going to have as April? And I know Joy-Filled Stitcher is having a Barbara Anna April. I'm having another Arse in Gear April. I had an Arse in Gear August, and I'm having an Arse in Gear April as well, which pretty much means I need to finish loads of stuff because I want to start loads of stuff in May. So that's what I'm having, an Arse in Gear April. So we should see some more finishes coming. A few more bits of haul, not a massive amount, a few more bits of haul. The first of the last few bits I'm going to show you is this. Now, if you've seen on my Instagram, you will have seen this. Now, everybody loved this, and I just absolutely stopped in my tracks when I saw this. The reason that I really love this is because there's a Haid, which is a similar, it reminded me of this one. Now, I don't think I'm ever going to get around to doing a Haid as much as I might like to think I would. I don't think I'm ever going to get around to doing it. They're just too big. This is on 18 count Ada. There's the threads. It is anchor thread. It's going to be 8 1/3 inches by 11 and a bit, nearly 12 inches when it's finished. So it's not huge, and it is full coverage, full crosses, and because I did wonder, ooh, am I seeing things? Hang on, I'm going to have to open this now. I did wonder whether it was on printed fabric because it looked so good, but it's not. Let me just grab the fabric up because I might have just noticed something. Ooh, it is. It's on an easy grid, but it's not. Oh, I want to start it right now. I want to start it right now. It's not that very dark easy grid. It's got a very faint line to it. Ooh, amazing. I did not know that. That's a Luca S kit. Now, I bought it from LVK Needlecraft. Now, let me find my book because I have got a code to give you. Now, I paid for that. It wasn't gifted or anything, but I got chatting with the lady who runs it, Verity, and the website is lvkneedlecraft.com, and they have got loads and loads of kits, loads of Luca S kits, oh, just loads of things. And the code that you would need to get a 10% discount is social LVK10, and I'll put that across the bottom, and I'll put it in the description box below as well. So you can grab yourself 10% off their kits. Super fast delivery, UK based, what they're showing is what they've got in stock, so you've got no worries about ordering something and then finding out that it's not in stock. But yeah, lovely lady, Verity. Some of you might know her if you've been on any of the UK selling sites, because I think before she got her website up and running, she was selling quite a lot through Facebook, things like that. But yeah, all brand new kits, beautifully packaged, quickly sent. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Last couple of bits of haul. Let's do this because it's in my way. Now, I went to the range. It's really funny how after a year of not being able to go into random shops that sell all sorts of random things, how pleasurable it is just to wander around said random shops. Now, a lady, and I'm going to have to put her name across the bottom because she sent me a picture of this on Instagram. And she said, had I seen this and what did I think? And I think I like it because I bought one, so it was £4. I think I'm going to paint it. I'll probably take the hooks off, paint it and put the hooks back on again. And then it'll be a nice place to put some stitching. So it almost looks a bit kind of hornbooky. It's a bit big for a hornbook, but that same sort of idea. So yeah, I think that'd be excellent. And I also bought, again, if you saw, I'm gonna have to try and fish this out now because I've helpfully buried it under everything else I've just dropped. There we go. Bought one of these, a tiered tray. It's a little bit bright white and weddingy at the moment, but I think it'll be lovely for summer and spring. And I would like to get a more sort of prim, kind of galvanised one, but they're super expensive and they're quite hard to find. So this was £12.99, I think, from the range, from the wedding section. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to filling it. And actually, my last bit of haul is what I was going to show you. Now, I said that I've been on a real sulky kick recently. 36 count, 1 strand of sulky is brilliant. I've got another one in my pocket. I wanted to show you. So I went onto the sulky website and I ordered some king spools. I ordered a white, so that's just a bright white, so we don't need to worry about that. But I ordered some of the reds. So these, got a random bit of orange thread in there that's trying to be red. These are the ones that I ordered. Now these are £2.90 each, I think, £2.80 or £2.90. They are 300 metres or 330 yards. Now, I was talking to somebody on the Long Dog Pandemic Facebook group this week about these, and Pandemic takes something like 47 skeins of DMC to do. Obviously depending on what count and stuff you're using. But these, it takes, if you're frugal with the thread, it takes 4. If you're not so frugal, well, it depends what colour combinations you use and stuff, but if you had 5, you would have more than enough. So if you think about the price difference of 5 of these, so 15 quid basically, compared to 47 skeins of DMC, there we go. So this one, I'm going to go from brightest to darkest. This is 1039. This one is, so second brightest is 1035. Hang on. Oh, they've written the numbers differently. Yeah, that's right. So 1039 brightest, 1035, and then the darker ones 1069 and 0035. Now the reason that I've got those for is because I do actually have another 2 which are part of a multi-pack. So this is the one that I'm doing Florence May Piggin in, and that I did my small, I don't know if you can see it, yeah, there, no, there, HF sampler that I showed you a couple of weeks ago. So that was the bright red, and this is the red that I'm doing my Quaker one that I showed you earlier in. So they sort of sit. Darn it. I'm going to be sulky juggling in a minute. And guess what? I can't juggle, so it's going to be bad. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you these. I was going to try and slot the other ones in. Right. I'm going to do this if it kills me, which it may do. I'm going to try and slot those other two in where I think they go. Big hands, Michelle. Big hands. Yes, there we go. So this one is 1147. So that's a very bright Christmas red, I would call it. And then the one in the middle there is like a softer, slightly browner, and that's 1169. So I wish I could actually juggle with sulky, because then I could just throw them around, but I can't. So I'm going to chuck them back in my box. And I think that is everything. So a day late and $1 short, but I hope you've enjoyed everything. Stay classy, Stitchers.